Man, goddamn is right, bro. Goddamn is right. How is everybody doing today here on your October 14th edition of Unscripted, man? Episode 217. Obviously, the today we have not, honestly, bro, not a crazy lot of interesting stuff to talk about. There obviously is some stuff we are going to talk about, obviously, but there's not a whole this week, man. I mean, mixed with the Wrestle Dream review, there's just a couple things to talk about in terms of Title Tuesday that were not amplified on the pay-per-view. And then obviously we got two interesting segments on SmackDown that I'm excited to talk about, and then a taped Monday Night Raw. Man, I can't exactly remember why this was taped. I think they were going on tour or something of those sorts. But we did get a taped Monday Night Raw, and obviously you guys know a tape show always is just the worst.
Senseless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They are always pretty rough. They're always pretty rough.
Wow.
I thought those said things were not worthy of being on a tape show. I thought a lot of the or I thought there was a couple things on the show that I would have rather them kept off the show, just because it was taped, and I would have liked to see certain things go into a live atmosphere. But then in saying that, like I said, in saying that, I do have to say I'm kind of glad they were on the show, because the show was pretty bare bones, man. I mean, it was a tape show, and obviously, only diehard wrestling fans are going to know what I mean, thoroughly when I say it was a tape show. You guys know everything that comes along with that. But for those of you who don't know, it's just a bad atmosphere. It's a lot of the things they put on the show are kind of uninteresting or filler. The crowd has sat there for 3 to 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours actually. Well, if doors open at 5, Raw ends at 9, so they're probably there till 11, plus a dark match that probably almost brings them to midnight. You know what I mean? So they're there 6, 7 hours, and they are exhausted, and it just comes off bad. It just comes off really bad. And then obviously there's things that they pre-tape that don't get the reaction they would have if they were in front of a live audience. So there's that. And obviously we'll get into specifics when we do talk about Monday Night Raw. But yeah, not too much crazy stuff to talk about here today on today's episode of Unscripted. So yeah, man, that's basically that's basically the rundown of what we're gonna talk about today. So without any further ado, man, how's everybody doing, man? And welcome back to another edition of Unscripted. This is episode 217 of Unscripted, and with that, if this is your first time watching and you guys do not know how the show works, every Monday after Monday Night Raw, we are live after the show with Unscripted, like we are right now. Every Friday at 4 p.m. Central, we are on here with the news. And for the pay-per-views for both WWE and AEW, we are on here live directly after the show with the post-show review. And if you guys did miss this past whole weekend's worth of shows, the news, which was Cody Rock and Roman, rumored to be main eventing WrestleMania 41 in a triple threat match, as well as the AEW Wrestle Dream predictions. That is episode 235. You guys can now watch that on all platforms. That's Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and if you want to see it first, join us right here live every Monday at 4 p.m. Central on a Friday with the newsman, as well as Saturday night's edition of the AEW Wrestle Dream review. Saturday night's edition of the AEW Wrestle Dream review is also available on all platforms for you guys as well. Let me... Oh, there he is.
Goddamn.
Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. My man Logan was having some complications being able to chat. So it looks like he's good now, though. Yes, if you guys did miss, like I said, the whole weekend's worth of shows, the news on Friday, and the AEW Wrestle Dream 2024 review, everything, like I said, from the weekend, that is all available on all platforms for you guys, man. Also, if you guys have not got a chance to get your hands on some of the official NHP merchandise, you guys can now find this live on the merch shop. That is bonfire.com. Link is at the top of the description of this very video, man, where you can find the newest piece of NHP merch to commemorate the rebrand of the podcast live on bonfire.com right now, man. You guys could pick yourself up the next chapter edition of the merch, man, as you see on your very screen. And yeah, again, bonfire.com, link is at the top of the description. If you guys have not got a chance to pick some of the hottest merch in the IWC up for yourselves, man. So, with that, if this is your first time watching and you guys do not know who we are here at NHP, I am Johnny, one half of the host of this very podcast. And as for the other half, we got my man Sir K here. How the hell are you, bro?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Just been chilling out, man. Just been chilling out. Pretty normal week so far, man. So I think it's gonna be a pretty simple week. No upcoming pay-per-view that is going great. I mean, what's the next one? Crown Jewel, technically.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not a pay-per-view to mark out for, so to say, so far. So everything's going pretty chill, pretty normal lately. Just waiting for Survivor Series in full gear, those back-to-back weekends. That's gonna be real fun.
Yes.
This weekend might be fun. You never know. But I'm doing good, man. Like Durante
What?
always likes to ask. What? Like Durante always likes to ask. Life's good. Oh, apparently I'm incredibly quiet.
Is he?
Hmm.
Mm.
Oh,
Oh, say something.
saying something? How does this sound?
Okay, talk now.
I'm talking again.
Okay,
Talking again. Hmm? Oh, God.
okay, he should sound better now. He should sound better now. Okay,
Okay. Goddamn. Well,
okay,
like Durante,
okay. Yeah,
I'm doing
proceed.
good. Everything's doing good, man. Just waiting for the two big weekends, man. Survivor Series full gear back to back. It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be real fun. Like Durante, always ask, how's life? How's the family? Life's good. Family's good. How is everybody doing in the live chat? How's everyone doing in the replay? What about you, bro? How are you doing?
Yeah, man, doing good, bro. Doing good. Okay. So now that we turned you up there, turn the yep, down a smidge, just a smidge, and then you're perfect.
Okay, how's that?
That's good. I think. Um,
Cool.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, bro. Yeah, can't complain, can't complain. Obviously, yeah, we got pretty much not too much to look forward to right now in terms of pay-per-views. Obviously, Crown Jewel is coming up, which again, I um yeah, it was the Wrestle Dream review. At the end of the Wrestle Dream review, we did announce we will be doing Crown Jewel, but it will be a solo review for me, as Sir K won't be able to make the show. So I wasn't sure if I wasn't sure if many of you got the chance to hear, so I figured now we'd say it here in the intro to the show. Just to clarify again, and just let you guys know, we are doing Crown Jewel, but it will be a solo review. So yeah, man. By myself on November 2nd. So yeah, it should be a hopefully an interesting show. I hope they make sense out of champion versus champion matches. So yeah, like I said, I really hope they can make sense out of all of that stuff. So yeah, bro. But other than that, I'm doing good. As Durante always asks, I'm good. Family's good. What about you, Durante? Logan, Bell, my man, naysayers. Whether you guys are here now, can't forget Hunter. Whether you guys are here now or a part of the Replay Mafia, man. My guys, JT and JB. How are you guys doing? And thank you guys for joining us as always. As yes, sir. Thank you guys for being here. You guys know the deal, man. So just to kind of discuss in a more of
Um,
yeah, in a more calm setting. Let's discuss All Elite Wrestling's Dynamite Title Tuesday. Now, obviously, there's only a couple there's really two big things I want to go over here. Kind of three. So again, most of the stuff is not even worth talking about because of because of Wrestle Dream. So obviously, there's not too much that's really noteworthy on this show. And yeah, like I said, if it wasn't the Wrestle Dream, or if it wasn't the Wrestle Dream, if it wasn't Wrestle Dream or Friday's or AEW rant, then
Mm-hmm.
there obviously isn't too much that needs to be said. But what we can say are, hopefully it's going to be a much more calm setting to get the point across even further. We get a segment
Mm-hmm.
with Jake the Snake Roberts and Don Callis. Okay, they're in the back and they are talking to each other about doing the first ever AEW talent exchange. I beg to differ. I think the first one was between CM Punk and the Young Bucks, and who was going to be on what show. But okay, I guess this is going to be the first ever talent exchange. So Don Callis wants Lance Archer, which, funny enough, on Wrestle Dream, Don Callis wasn't even out there with his newest touted talent in Lance Archer.
Yeah.
He only came out there, he had Takeshita with him, and then Kyle Fletcher ended up coming out there with him as, Lance Archer was, is now under the tutelage of Don Callis, and, yeah, he wasn't even there for the visual on Wrestle Dream. It was just the other two guys that he's normally with. So, I digress. They say they're going to do the first ever talent exchange. Jake the Snake gives Lance Archer to Don Callis as they asked Jake the Snake, Renee asked Jake the Snake, "Who are you getting?" Jake asks her, "Do you like surprises?" She says yes. He says, "Me too." And this was that segment. As later in the night, we're seeing a match between Hologram and Commander. Okay. So Hologram wins. He wins the match. Jake the Snake Roberts comes to the stage. He comes at the top of the stage and he's looking down at Hologram. All of a sudden, Drolistico, Roosh, and the Beast Mordos, the Beast TARDIS, they all attack Hologram, and they all celebrate by raising their fists for LWI or LFI. LFI. They all raise their fists for LWI. LFI, sorry. Whatever the fucking group is called, okay? Andrade's Dead Group is the group, okay? They all raise their fists for LFI. I almost said it again. As Jake the Snake raises his fist as the manager for La Facción Ingobernables.
Is Jake the Snake Roberts. Like, why? What does this gain for anybody? What's the end goal here? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, there's not one.
No, there's not. I'm telling you right now. Okay, well, first and foremost, let's go over the things that we almost skipped over because they're so blatantly obvious. So the first thing, again, there's two things here. We got to state the obvious. The first thing, why the fuck would Don Callis want anything to do with Lance Archer? This guy is a bona fide loser. He's never even on fucking Dynamite, and every time he is on Dynamite, he just fucking loses. So that's the first problem. Okay, that's the first gray area here. Okay, I'm not sensing what exactly what exactly we're doing there. Then the second thing, when the fuck were Roosh, Dralistico, and the Beast Tardass were ever a part of Don Callis's circle?
Like, you can't trade what you don't have. It doesn't make sense.
So Tony's a big fucking sports guy.
Mm-hmm.
Tony's a big sports guy. So let's put this into football terms. Since Mr. Football Khan, Mr. Owner, GM of the Jaguars, he probably calls himself the fucking head of creative for the Jaguars too. So with that logic, what you're telling me is the Seattle Seahawks can trade Caleb Williams to the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
That is what you're telling me. With this logic and this level of insulting your fans' intelligence, that is basically what you're telling me. A team that Caleb Williams does not play for can trade him to a completely different team. That is what you're telling me.
That's exactly what happened. None of those were in the Don Callis family. Not one of them. Not a single one of them. And they got traded for him? Like, makes no sense, bro.
How? How? You let these sort of logic gaps and just dumb ass just isms on your show. Okay, and obviously the third thing. What business would Jake the Snake fucking Roberts want with LFI? He does not fit that group.
Like, yeah, let's put Paul Ellering in the LWO. That's what you just did. You did the same thing,
Pretty
but
much.
even dumber. And for what? There's no end game with Jake the Snake with them, and there's no end game with Lance and Don Callis because he wasn't even out there at the pay-per-view for the guy. They're never going to use him. So why was this happening in general?
And do you see why? Do you see why so many people complain about what exactly it is you put on television? Do you see exactly what it is you put on television? Do you see exactly why people complain about what you put on television? Because it's stuff like this. It's stuff that has no end game. Why do you think people were always complaining about ROH titles and ROH titles and talent being on the show? Because I mean, the bigger ROH people didn't necessarily complain about because people either wanted them on AEW television or they what was I saying? Either they wanted them on AEW television or they were on television and people weren't complaining about it because they were big stars. Like obviously, if one comes to mind, like the team like the Briscoes, a lot of people didn't necessarily care about. I mean, the Briscoes were never on Dynamite, but nobody would have cared to see the Briscoes on Dynamite because we all wanted the Briscoes on Dynamite. And then the guys in ROH that people wanted in AEW, like Brody King, came over to AEW. And now they're
Hmm.
on AEW television. But it was what you put from ROH on those shows. Or look at like Athena. Nobody would fucking care to see Athena on AEW television because we want her on AEW television. Her career is down in Ring of Honor being wasted.
Hmm.
However, this is why people complained about all those ROH titles because there's no end game. And this is why people complain about your B feuds being on AEW or not even your B feuds, your F feuds being on AEW Dynamite because there's no end game. And we all know by the end of the shit, both of the people are going to be irrelevant. Either that or you're going to pull a Chris Statlander and make everything you did useless.
Hmm. It's all going to be useless in the end because you're not doing anything for anything. It's for nothing. It's just to do it because you're on TV and you need something to do, and that's all it is.
Completely fucking stupid. And now we have Jake the Snake with Mordas, Drilistico, and Rouge. Who cares? Who fucking cares? Daniel Garcia. We all know, man, we all knew as soon as there was that shot of him walking into the arena and saying I would tell you right now, but I want to share it with all the people. As soon as he said that, I was like, God, I knew it was coming. Daniel Garcia comes out to the live audience and he says, he's talking in a sad tone, you know, he's working the crowd, and he's saying he never wanted to be that guy to leave without thanking and saying goodbye. But I sat at home for multiple weeks. That should be your first indication. He says he sat at home. Exactly. Being that he did lose that All Out, but he got the moral victory. He took out MJF, and they both came back around the same time. Why was Daniel Garcia out? To kill his momentum? Because that's what that sounds like to me. So he says while he was at home, he had a lot of time to think, and he never wanted to be the guy to say goodbye or to leave without saying goodbye. And he says he figured it would be best for him to stay where the best wrestle. But this will not be the Daniel Garcia we're all used to seeing. That's your second problem. This will be the Daniel Garcia that AEW builds the future on the back of. Because I truly believe I'm one of the best wrestlers in the world. Well, you have the potential to be. I don't know that you're there yet, but possibly he could have the potential to be. I obviously listed two blaring problems. Tony Khan kept him off of television because Tony Khan was probably scared that he was going to sign with WWE, and if that doesn't show you anything, I don't know what will. This man, just because he was scared, and he absolutely was, just because he was scared off of a rumor Daniel Garcia was going to WWE and NXT, he kept him at home for a month. But Garcia should be no stranger to that, because that is his whole career in AEW. Sitting at home, coming back when Tony Khan has that itch for the Red Death and for a great hard-hitting technical wrestler, and then once he gets that, and he likes to tout that Daniel Garcia is a future piece to the company, then do you, let me ask you something, Sir K. If you were a promoter, one of your talents that you claimed was one of your up and coming guys and one of the guys you plan to build around for an entire calendar year, would you sit him at home for a month just because?
No. Just because? No. Because why would you do that? Why would you stunt momentum like that? Momentum is the most important thing in the business. It is. Why would you stunt that? That's how, do the most mid wrestler, they have momentum, they can be great. Because momentum is everything. Why would I stunt that?
And he stumped it, and
every time
Garcia comes back and basically, says, well, now I'm re-signed with AEW, so now I'm putting every champion on warning. Why didn't he do this directly after All Out?
Yeah.
I just beat the ex-international or American champion, whatever. I just beat a champion. Now I want a taste of that for myself. I'm going after Jack Perry. It's not like Jack Perry was doing anything, unreasonably fucking important at Wrestle Dream anyway. The fucking guy had Katsuyori Shibata as a match.
Exactly. It would have been perfect. That would have been a great matchup. Two young guys, like that's a great matchup you could have done, and you didn't do it. You just had them sit at home for no reason and show up at the pay-per-view just to be shoved off for other people.
Oh god, yeah. And then obviously Wrestle Dream happened, and they trotted Garcia out there and said, "Look at our guy. This guy's a big deal. He's going for the TNT title. Oh wait, here comes MJF. Okay, he's beating the shit out of Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia pawning off the ring. Obviously, MJF deemed that, pretty useless as a little side story in itself. And then, I mean, granted, they made sense out of him getting the ring back. Okay, he's beating up Daniel Garcia. Oh, all right. Oh, wait, here comes Adam Cole. All right, Adam Cole fist bumps Daniel Garcia, and Daniel Garcia walks away holding his neck because MJF
Like,
just whooped his ass.
who knows the next time we'll see Daniel Garcia?
Who
Right
knows?
after a sign.
Yeah. So, and the third problem is Daniel Garcia thinking that AEW is going to build the future off of his back. Oh my god, what did Tony Khan tell him?
And he was feeding him some bullshit, and he figured it out. Because I hate to break it to Daniel Garcia, no one's gonna be built off anything. You have to be built in the first place to succeed in AEW.
Yep.
That's the only way to succeed.
Listen, if you aren't MJF or Darby Allin, your chances of becoming a legit homegrown superstar in AEW are very slim. They're very
Hmm.
slim.
Very, because AEW doesn't build up talent; its talent builds up AEW at this point.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be real screwed, man. I'm sorry.
So, Daniel Garcia officially signs with AEW. I do wish him the best. Obviously, it's been well noted on our episodes of news that personally, if I was him, I would have went to NXT, but can't hate the man, I'm sure. And obviously we brought to you guys on Friday that Garcia um or people in WWE tried to get Garcia, but Tony Khan and AEW offered him something that was what WWE was not willing to pay for him. So, and that's again, I mean, Tony's gonna spend his money how he wants, but if the bag is as crazy as WWE is saying, which that could very well be, not all that crazy, but
Yeah.
but if it is, then um yeah, that's an interesting move on Tony Khan's part because I don't know, and again we don't know what he paid Garcia, but if he did, throw some crazy amount at him, I don't know how smart that was. Because again, we all know how Tony Khan's going to treat this man, and he's going to be used frequently, or he's going to be used non-frequently. I mean, and we're going to see him about once in a quarter on AEW Dynamite, or whenever Tony Khan feels that Daniel Garcia is his ice cream flavor of the month. So yeah.
Hmm. Exactly, man. So I hope he gets used, but I would have went to NXT in my opinion, but he went here, and I hope they use him, man. But hope always doesn't go anywhere in AEW.
Definitely. Um, And that was pretty much everything for Dynamite, man. I mean, we did have Stokely Hathaway trying to go after Private Party, but I mean, we kind of talked about all that and all the Chris Statlander heel turn and how WWE or how AEW, um, how AEW just drastically dropped the ball on her heel turn and all that stuff. So yeah.
Hmm. Definitely, they did a horrible job with that shit. Just switching it up just because, man. Tony loves to do that, man. He really does.
And the one non Dynamite thing that I did want to talk about was the Wrestle Dream Media Scrum.
Oh no, I didn't even watch it.
There's only one thing to talk about. There's only one thing to discuss. And obviously, it's been held under a heat lamp by everybody on Twitter, and rightfully so. Most of the times, Twitter outrage is Twitter outrage, but I legitimately got a bone to pick with this one. Mariah May is up at the booth, and I want to say they asked her one question, if that,
Yeah.
and they asked her a question. She gets done. She wraps up the question. Tony Schiavone says, "Does anybody have any more questions for the Women's World Champ?" Not a fucking soul asked Mariah May a question.
Dog.
Nobody had a question for Mariah May. Nobody.
These people call themselves journalists. You don't have a question. You ain't gonna ask her where the fuck Mina Shirakawa is. You ain't gonna ask her where the fuck her story's at. You ain't gonna ask Tony standing right next to her what the fuck is going on. You got shit to ask.
So Tony Schiavone is up there and he's trying to um ask he's trying to, I guess, sort of diffuse it, because you could tell Mariah was a little annoyed. You could tell Mariah was a little annoyed, and she was asking the people, like, nobody has a question, like, nobody, I think she said something like, nobody likes women's wrestling, or, and then Tony Schiavone, um Tony Schiavone's up there and he's like, "Come on, guys, don't be shy." Nobody
Yeah,
said a fucking word. I
dude.
could think of 1,001 questions to fucking ask Mariah May. Um,
Oh yeah.
I could even come up with some of the cheesy questions that that typical AEW media scrum people ask. I mean, if you were to ask her real questions, how do you feel about your world title situation? How do you feel about the challengers? How do you feel like the fucking lack of building the women's division? Where the fuck is Mina Shirakawa? And to think of some cheesy ones, you could have asked her how the match went. You could have asked her how fighting Willow Nightingale went. You could have asked her some of her dream opponents. Something. Something.
Like you're
They have
telling me
nothing.
Sean Sack had nothing to say sitting there. You had to tell me nothing from all these places. Have nothing to ask these people. That alone should have fucking revoked everyone's pass. Get a whole new set of media people because you can't have these people here and claim them to be media.
And so, what I wanted to highlight from this is exactly what happens when you filter out who you want at your media because you do
Mhm.
not like people personally. You
Yeah.
don't like people personally, those people get booted. That's a problem that WWE has too.
Oh
WWE
yeah.
has people. WWE has people where WWE has people ask legitimate questions and they're super fucking rude to them. Then you get WWE people that or then you get media people in WWE that ask stupid questions and the people up at the booth laugh at them. Oh, what kind of question is that? What do you mean what kind of question is that? Whenever you get somebody that asks you a real question, people are whispering to the guy, "Why? What a stupid question! Why would you ask that?" It's like it's just such a wrestling promoters are so fucking soft to
Oh,
media, to the and the worst thing about the media is they go along with it. They go along with them
yeah.
being soft.
They go. Yeah. They just fucking accumulate that. They just do it for them. Just yeah. I'll ask you this dumbass question and make me look like an ass, but I don't want to anger you, man. I want to be invited back again. Why? Why do you want to be invited back again? So you could ask the same dumbass shit for your fucking shit ass fucking journalist company. Like you're just you post bullshit every week on Twitter anyway. It's not like anyone respects you people. So what do you? Try to get some respect. The pro wrestling world is so soft when it comes to opinions. It's insane, from promoters to wrestlers to everybody, dude. Like, I can't ask you a real question and get a real answer. Grow
Yep.
up, dude.
And that is why I know, like, earlier, like this year, and too, a lot of times we have seen him in AEW, and this is a great example of somebody asking real questions and getting fucking exiled from the show. I don't even think we see him much at WWE shows anymore, and it's probably because his questions are a little too real for everybody's liking. But Ariel Helwani, the fucking
Yeah.
guy, gets Tony Khan on his show, and he's asking Tony legitimate questions. Tony doesn't want to fucking answer anything. And
No.
then they get to the media scrums, and what do you think people are coming out for? Do you think people want to fucking ask? Do you think every reporter in here just wants to know what you thought of the show? What do you think they're gonna say? Oh man, I thought the fucking show sucked tonight. I thought it was a horrible pay-per-view. I thought it was one of the worst things we've ever fucking done in company history. They're not gonna say that. They're obviously gonna fucking sit there and, I thought it was our best night ever. We had the biggest gate in company continental history, and this and that. Like, I fucking hate that both companies really have brought this
Oh
to a
yeah.
point where they filtered out their media so fucking hard, and they squeeze the life out of it to the point where you just get these people that just go there not to ruffle any feathers, not to ask what they legitimately want to ask. They want to
No.
go there so they can sit there and rub their fucking face all fucking through Tony Khan and Triple H's balls, just to get some brownie points, and just to get it, just to get their VIP media pass for the next show.
Because that's all they want. They want to be there. They want to feel like they're a part of the business, and they're not. They're fucking tweeters that tweet shit out. That's all you do, and you brown nose both companies, and they allow you to walk back there like clown jesters that they make fun of all day. I don't know how that strokes their ego, because you guys look like clowns up there every week, every month that you're at these pay-per-views and at these media scrums. You all look like clowns, asking the dumbass questions, asking about Taylor Swift this, asking about Damian Priest if he wants to retire in Mexico. You're asking fucking
Oh
Mariah May
no,
nothing.
Brian. They asked Brian
Oh
if he
yeah,
wanted to retire in Mexico.
like what are you people doing here? Does this really feed your egos? Being laughed at by Triple H and Tony Khan for asking them the stupid questions they want you to ask? I don't get it, dude. I don't get it.
Yeah.
The post shows and media scrums, they used to be so fun back when AEW
Yeah.
was in it, in its prime and shit. When WWE started to do them, I was like, damn, these are dope, dude. I love these now. I don't give a fuck about them, because it's just gonna be, what'd you think of the show? What was your guy? Is this your guy's highest gate? I I don't care.
Do you plan to have a good title reign? What?
No, no, I'm gonna
No.
sit do all.
Yeah. I plan on having, I plan on fucking having a Sammy Guevara TNT title level title reign, misses. I mean, are
Oh,
you
and it could
serious?
be absolute dog shit.
Yeah,
Like,
I want my reign to fucking suck absolute dick. Like, who who is coming? So, and like you said, these media scrums in the beginning, they were so fun. They were so fun because you
mhm.
had legitimate people there that were asking legitimate fucking questions. Now it's all been filtered out, and you basically have all your people there that are going to sit there and be good little children and sit there with their hands crossed and on their lap and sit there and fucking smile and ask you what you thought of the show. And are you excited about your TV deal? No, I'm not excited at all. Are you excited about WrestleMania in a couple months, Triple H? What? Come on, man. They're
Hey,
horrible. And again, I wanted to use this Mariah May situation to fucking highlight how bad AEW has filtered out their media personnel that they allow to the show. Because again, you should have questions. You should have fucking
mhm.
questions for everybody on the show. And it's not like Mariah was a pop-up guest on the media scrum. Ever since she's been AEW Women's World Champion, she's been on all the fucking media scrums. Well, other than
It
All
was
Out, but she wasn't on the show. But
Yeah.
Every show she's been on, ever since she won that title, All In, she was on there. Wrestle Dream, she's on there. It's not like she was a surprise pop-up, like, oh shit, I didn't know Mariah May was going to be here. No, she's always on them. So it really goes to show how bad AEW, and again, like I said, both companies really have filtered out their media personnel to the point where no legitimate questions, there's no realism, there's no authenticity in questions. It's questions that these people don't care to ask themselves, and they ask them.
Insane.
SmackDown. Ladies and gentlemen, by the grace of the man above, we have finally got something interesting in this title reign for Cody Rhodes to do.
Look at that. Finally. After how many months? What, 6, 7?
Yeah. Yep. He's been champ for 6 months.
6 months. And they're finally fucking giving this man an interesting title feud situation.
Man. It's been a long time coming. So, Kevin Owens, Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson were on their way out for their tag match. All of a sudden, Kevin Owens runs in the ring. He's trying to discuss what happened. He's pissed because he said something about they're trying to get me to not talk about what happened or something along those lines. And he they cut his mic off. Security is trying to get him out. Security's trying to get him out, and they are he runs outside of the ring and grabs Corey Graves' headset, and he starts talking. Then he sees Cody Rhodes. These two get in a big pull apart before a brawl is able to start. Randy Orton ends up coming out here, separating it, telling everybody to calm down. This would then all culminate later in the night with Randy Orton being jumped in the parking lot by Kevin Owens, his best friend, or his sort of best friend. Kevin Owens always is a new best friend. His buddy, his buddy Randy Orton, walked Cody to his tour bus, and they played surveillance footage of Orton and KO talking. And they both go to walk away, and Owens just punches him square in the face, starts beating his ass, and then obviously from that point on is what we've seen on television, where he's got him up against the gate, and Orton's on the ground, and Kevin Owens is kicking him, and he's telling him, you wanted to choose sides? Well, here you go. You picked the wrong one. This is very interesting, and again, I am not for these Crown Jewel titles in the slightest, but at least this gives a nice out for Kevin Owens to cost Cody Rhodes the match, because why it's being booked in the first place, I have no idea.
No, I have no clue. The whole Crown Jewel title situation is dumb, and I'm glad they're able to have, ways around it this year, man. So that's good. I really like what they're doing with KO. I like it. I like the vibe that those three, him, Cody, and Randy, got going on. I'm still of the opinion that Randy Orton's kind of orchestrating all this, and he's kind of pushing the buttons of everybody to get what he wants. I think it's all him, and I think he's the mastermind behind all this, and they don't even know it. So I think that's what it's really building to, and I really like that.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I thought this was very interesting, and yeah, I thought, and like I said, I'm just glad we are finally getting something interesting week to week that we can sink our teeth into with Cody Rhodes that does not involve the Bloodline. So I'm happy for that. And again, when all this stuff starts going down with Jay and Sammy and all this different type of stuff, I'm just ecstatic for Kevin Owens' reaction to, because if this was Kevin's reaction to Cody teaming with the Bloodline, I say it all the time, What is his reaction? What in the world is Kevin Owens going to think when Sami Zayn dons the honorary Uce shirt once again?
Uh,
I don't
that
think it,
man's gonna lose his mind.
I don't think it's going to be very good, man. I don't think it's going to be very good, especially because Jay is a huge part of the reason why Kevin Owens is on SmackDown, because Cody
Mm-hmm.
orchestrated a trade to send Jay to Raw and Kevin to SmackDown.
And
Hmm.
hmm.
Very interesting. And yeah, again, he could be blaming Cody because Cody was the orchestrator of all this. But what's he going to do when he sees the guy that was directly involved, aka Jay Uso? Or again, he's so mad at Cody for teaming with the Bloodline and all this type of stuff. Again, what's going to happen, bro? What's going to happen when Sami Zayn puts that honorary Uso shirt back on, man? It's not going to be
Mm-hmm.
good.
No, it's not. It's not gonna be a good reaction at all.
Um, yeah, man. What is up, naysayers? Forgot to say what's up. We were going down the rabbit hole of wrestling media. What up, my man? How are you, bro?
How you doing, man?
So the other thing was Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso opens the show and he calls out Roman Reigns. He calls out Roman Reigns as he not calls out Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns ends up coming out, my bad. So Jimmy is out there talking about, his return and whatnot and how he's, happy to be back and stuff. And Roman comes out there and he tells everybody to acknowledge Big Jim. Look at that.
Look at that. He man, look at this new Roman. He's saying it wasn't a new Roman either.
Very, 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 very interesting, bro. Very interesting. As um he tells everybody to acknowledge Big Jim. He thanks Jimmy for having his back, and Jimmy says to Roman, I got your back, but I hope you've been able to see, because I can see it, we need help. Obviously, the crowd picked up on this, and everybody started chanting yeet. So he tells Roman, he says, we need help. And Roman gets a little uncomfortable. He gets a little annoyed. A little just a little annoyed, I guess, at the even just mention of Jay. And Roman picks up the mic and he says two simple words we know very well. Actually from Jimmy himself. He says, no yeet. Jimmy says, look, I need you to hear me out. I know we've all been through our differences, man, and family fight, but we need help. Look at us. We need help. And he tells him, see, you'll always be my tribal chief. But why is it I'm the only one in the family that still acknowledges you?
Right.
Roman has this look of concern. He has this look of listening. He has he just has this realization. He has this look of realization, and he has this look of just being just maybe something hit him just there. As Jimmy walks away, at the end of the show, Jimmy faced Solo, and after the match, the Bloodline were beating up Jimmy. This would then lead Roman to come out, and the Bloodline would leave all four men down on the ground. It would leave, they would leave, the new Bloodline would leave two men, not four men.
Mm-hmm.
They would leave Roman and Jimmy laying down on the ground as the two are laying there, and the Bloodline is celebrating, Mr. Solo's standing on the stage telling everybody, "I'm the tribal chief." Um,
Dude, the tribal chief cadence he has is just, it's so bad, dude. Why do they have him talking like that?
I
I
don't, I don't,
am the tribal chief.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. This man had one of the greatest calls ever when he uh, told us that this is Ulafala.
I was trying to like voice over a fucking movie trailer. Like, bro, just talk like a person. It's all I want.
Oh man. So they left, the Bloodline left Roman and Jimmy laying at the end of the show. As they're both laying there and Solo's giving his extremely dramatic voiceover for before the show goes home, you hear Jimmy mouthing to Roman Reigns, "We need him." And obviously, we're going to get back to this a little bit later when we talk about Monday Night Raw, because there was a crazy development on Monday Night Raw. But, dude, it's heating up, bro, and we're finally starting to get the teases. And I'm glad they started now, and hopefully we can get all these teases over the course of the next 2 months. You know, I mean, Survivor Series is basically in December. It's the very last day of November, so they basically have 2 whole months, you had 2 whole months. Now we're about like down to a month and a half. So they have a nice month and a half to actually sort of build to this, and I hope they give it justice. And what they gave us tonight, I'm glad that, you know, they're starting this off. They're starting this off a little slow, which obviously, I mean, this is the first interaction, so we'll have to see as it moves on. But I did like what they did tonight on Monday Night Raw, which we're obviously going to get to very shortly. But yeah, so that was basically everything on Friday Night SmackDown, man. Yeah, that was basically about it.
Definitely, man. I really like what they did. Obviously, we'll talk about what it means, a little more later when we get to the raw part of it. But I like the dynamic they got with that, and I like what they're building up, and I like how the new bloodline actually got a genuine win up on them. And they didn't just get fucking beat and then swarmed away.
Yep,
They beat them down. I like that a lot.
for sure. Monday Night Raw, your October 14th edition, might as well have been the October 7th edition. It was in the same St. Louis crowd. It was in the same St. Louis crowd that obviously there was last week. The show opens up with Rhea Ripley. She calls out Liv and Raquel. She says this is not over until she gets back the one thing she never lost, her Women's World Championship. She called the two out there. We do not hear the Judgment Day music or the music for Liv or Raquel. We hear Tiffany Stratton's music as Mrs. Tiffy walks down to the ring with her briefcase. She tells Rhea she is here to warn her from the WWE Women's Champion, Nia Jax, to stay out of her business, or else she's going to have a big problem. Rhea tells Tiffany she does not have any time to deal with this. She tells her to get out of her face unless she wants to be welcome to Monday Night Raw the Rhea Ripley way. These two get in each other's faces as Liv and Raquel attack these two. They attack these two, leave these two laying in the middle of the ring as Rhea Ripley is back there yelling at Adam Pearce to make a match. She initially wanted a handicap match. Adam Pearce says, I can make a match, but it's going to have to be a tag team match. I cannot let you do the match alone. Rhea says, what do you mean? I can't choose Damian Priest. Who am I going to get to use to... I mean, you could choose Karma. You know, it is Damian Priest, but she says... Yeah, she says if it's not Damian Priest, then I don't have anybody to choose. And Tiffany walks up and she starts complaining about her treatment here on Monday Night Raw. She says Nick Aldis would never. Pierce looks at Rhea and he says, "What about her?" Rhea kind of sighs and moans and groans and says, "Fine." She walks away, and Tiffy says, "What do you mean, what about me? What do you mean?" Adam Pearce says, "You'll figure it out." And he just walks away. So obviously, this was the main event match for the night as, ooh, yeah, I knew we were in for a long night when that was announced as the main event.
Yeah.
So the first match on the show, Bianca and Jade versus Damage Control with Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend at ringside. I don't know if their match got scrapped from Friday, and maybe that's why they're still there, but they teased a feud with Damage Control, so they must have lost on Friday. Anyways, this match was okay. I mean, this is your typical your typical Bianca carry job, as all of Jade and Bianca's tag team matches are. It's the classic Bianca carry job, as it was basically. I mean, this match was nothing too spectacular. Io was on the outside by she was standing over there by Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend, and Jakara pulled her hair, and when Io turned around, Lash Legend punched her in the face. Io stumbled in the ring to be hit with a KOD. As Bianca and Jade picked up the victory here on Monday Night Raw and retained the tag team championship. So yeah, that was that. Like I said, it was nothing too spectacular. Obviously, I didn't go into this with a worlds of interest to begin with, and it was a match.
Yeah, definitely. It was a match, man. Is Lash Legend in them? Are they called up? Or are they just doing a little one off?
They are advertised as NXT still. So
Okay, okay. Yeah, I was wondering, but yeah, little
tell me, you
match,
want the metaphor on the main roster?
No, well, Lash Legend, she's with Trick, I think. So if she goes up, I would hope he's, soon after her. That's what I was hoping for.
Gotcha. I thought you wanted to see Oro Mensa, or as what do
Or
they call him on it? On-site Oro.
on-site oral. I mean,
Did this fucking
maybe.
guy just say on-site oral?
I mean, you never know how he is back there, man. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. But
On-site
that's an unfortunate
oral.
name. He shouldn't have that name. That's a horrible name to have.
You don't like Oral Mensa?
That's a very fucking. You got a guy like me that can't talk. One fuck up and it's over with, bro. If you have a commentator calling him that, you're screwed.
That's why they
You
got to
have,
get you on commentary.
dude. I would be
Oral
great, but
Mensa. Well,
that'd be
maybe
fucking
that'll be his
awful.
finisher name, bro. The on-site oral.
A hindsight oral. That's a thing. God damn. Like, you can't have people named like that, bro. I'm sorry.
So, um, yeah, yes, but yeah, I don't remember if you were in the middle of saying something, but no, Jakara and Lash are not called up.
Okay. I was just wondering for Trick Williams' sake.
I don't think they're married though, so that they very well could Ludwig and Tiffany them.
Yeah, just I mean, it makes sense, I guess. It's a good system for them to have as a company, so I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah. So Bianca and Jade they defeated Damage Control in a tag team match for the tag team titles. That overall was just a match. And yeah, that
Yep.
was that. Uh, Adam Pierce sees the Judgment Day in the back, and he tells them that they need to sustain their responsibility at upholding the tag team championships, and they haven't been. So he's setting up a tournament to find the next challengers for their titles. Finn gets upset because he initially came for a rematch against Damian Priest, Mr. Pin Balor over here. He came to I don't know, I guess eat another fucking pin. I guess that's why he wanted a rematch with Damian Priest. Liv comes up after the fact and she says to Finn, "Hey, did you get your rematch?" Finn says no. He walks off all pissed, and she goes, "Oh, by the way, guys, this is Raquel." Even the fucking group did not have a reaction. At the very least, Carlito dropped his apple as he was staring at her. Jade, nobody said hi. Nobody shook her hand. Nobody said welcome. Nobody. They legitimately all, I shit you not, just stared at her. Like, I don't give a fuck. And Finn Balor walked off and walked right past her. Didn't say nothing.
Like, trips, dog. You're making this completely. You're making the whole thing worse. She had a botched debut or a botched return, whatever.
Yep.
Join this, and it's nothing. Not a reaction from the fans. Not even a reaction from your talent. You couldn't tell them, hey, during the segment, say something to her, or I don't know, shake her hand, welcome her to the group, or something. Say a word.
Fist bump, something.
Like, dog, nothing. Good Lord. What a dud.
So we're getting a tag team title tournament. There was obviously one match on the show tonight, and then I think that next week they announced Authors of Pain versus New Day. And they announced American Made versus... I can't remember. I can't remember who American Made was going up against. Oh god, I know it was AOP versus New Day for sure. And I cannot for the life of me remember who the other team was. Let me see.
Who else is on that fucking show besides like LWO?
You know what? It might have been them.
I literally can't think of any other tag teams. So I wouldn't be shocked.
Ray and Dragon Lee versus the Creed brothers, and New Day versus Authors of Pain.
Look at that. Goddamn.
So yeah. That was
tournament we got going on.
Yeah.
Just say matches at this point.
Might as well. Braun Breaker's doing a little backstage promo here. He says, everybody wants to know why I turned my back on Jay. He says it's because I walked out there to show him respect for him and for the championship. He told, Jay had not told him once the whole time I was out there that he respected me or respected what I did for the championship at all as a champion. He says Jay will never be the champion that I am. He talks about how he did not need his family name or legacy. He hopes to do it by himself, and one day his family will give him the same respect he gives them. But unlike Jay, who has sucked off his family legacy...
I don't know. Oh, Braun. I don't know if I'd phrase it like that. I hope he wasn't doing that to his family.
Well, evidently, bro, it looks like Jey Uso has sucked off his family legacy. So he's done that. Again, he sucked off his family legacy his whole career, and now that he's seen his cousin reach the mountaintop, he wants to do it on his own now too. He says he can take. He says, well, you can take this ass whooping on your own as well, and your family can never save you from me.
Hmm.
So it looks like Braun was felt a little disrespected. I definitely feel this had to have been a change in plans, because when Jey Uso gave him that nod of approval, Braun smiled at him. So he did not come off upset in that segment, the first segment where Braun came out and shook Jay's hand, told him he was the better man. I definitely think WWE pivoted there, and I think they wanted to turn Braun babyface, but something kept them from doing that. And I'm okay with that. I just wonder what exactly it was that kept them from turning him babyface, because it was very evident that they, at least at one point, were going to.
It really was, man. I really wonder why they obviously pivoted the plan for his babyface run. I would really like to know the why, because I'm fine with the on-screen kayfabe why, and I'm fine that he's still a heel. I'm fine with it. I'm just really curious to why.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We get a Adam Pearce and Bronson Reed sit down. Adam tells Bronson, he thanks him for his time, and he said this was like in a very like intimate setting. They were like outside, like on like two chairs, like in
Hmm.
just, it almost looked like maybe like outside of like a country club or something, just to chat. So he says he made a name for himself. Adam Pearce tells Bronson he made a name for himself in a short amount of time. He says everybody knows that I give my superstars the leeway to do things how they want. And yes, sometimes that means chaos, and that means I take a lot of criticism because of that. But what you did last week to my referees was uncalled for. First of all, I want to know how Adam Pearce pointed that out. I actually really like how that's sort of a method to his madness. It's like to where Nick Aldis kind of has everybody in line type thing, minus like the bloodline. And I mean, things have kind of been getting a little hectic over there. Most of the like wild, like viral type shit you'll see on Monday Night Raw. So I like how they kind of pointed that out a little bit.
I like that.
Um, so he says that that was uncalled for, what he did to the referees. Bronson said, "Look, man, I'm sorry that my actions crossed the line, but he says, I'm sorry my actions crossed the line, but nobody could have stopped me in a match like that." He said, "In a match like that, nobody could have stopped me, and if it wasn't for Seth Rollins, I would have been the last monster standing. So when are you gonna make the match?" Pierce says, I'm not even thinking about that right now until you and I are on the same page." Bronson says he's done all. Bronson said, I've done all this destruction. Every tsunami I hit on Seth Rollins and everybody else, um, was for me to get to the main event. Isn't that the sort of ambition you want from your superstars?" Adam Pearce says,
Mhm.
"Absolutely." He says, "So make the match, and there won't be no trouble. I want the one-on-one spotlight with Seth so I can beat him and show you that I can be a top guy or that I am a top guy in WWE."
I like it. And I hope he beats Seth, dude. I really hope he does.
100%. 100%. He has to beat him in dominating fashion too.
Oh, he's got to destroy that man.
Yeah.
It's got to be. He's got to decimate him, man. He really does, man. I think that's where this should go. I hope that's where it goes, because you can't do all this just for Seth to win. You built this man up like crazy. You have to have him win this feud.
Yeah,
Not saying he has to go on to win a world title instantly. He could lose that journey. That'd be fine. But he has to beat Seth. He has to destroy Seth.
for sure. For sure. And they've done a great job in protecting him. They've done a great job in just making him a monster, to the point where he's at the point in his career right now where, at least right now, I don't care to see him be pinned. I do not want to see him be pinned at all. You know, obviously he lost the last Monster Standing match, but you know, you don't have to be pinned to lose that. He just didn't make it to his feet, and that was partially because of interference. So that does not make him look bad at all, but I don't want to see him be pinned right now. He's on too monstrous of a run right now to be pinned. So yeah, that was that, and especially after the segment with Rollins coming up here, it's almost more evident that Bronson Reed needs to beat Seth Rollins. So
Oh, 100%.
we get the first match to the tag team tournament as the Alpha Academy come out. And Joe Tess is on commentary, and he's saying, who are they facing? Who are they facing? Now, obviously, I seen the spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, the lights go out, and we hear that Viking horn. And the only thing I didn't like presentation-wise was the first thing you see is Viking up on
Yeah.
the Tron. I don't know why it just said Viking. Maybe it was just to, I don't know, let the people know that,
Transition.
yeah. Maybe that was just
Yeah.
to give the people a sense of familiarity, like, oh, it's the Viking Raiders, and then obviously War Raiders pops up on the screen. But out come Eric and Ivar of the War Raiders. Well, they're not Hanson and Rowe, but
That's okay.
it's
I'll
all
live.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
at this point, they've been Eric and Ivar for 5 years. It's
Damn.
okay. Yeah.
Fuck.
Yep. 5 fucking years, dude. Um,
Oh,
they come out, no face paint. No face paint at all. Definitely not their emo face paint.
no.
And these guys have War Raider shirts on, and they also have like these leather vests. Um, they have these leather vests on. This was awesome to see them back.
Mm-hmm.
In saying that, how the fuck do you bring them back on a tape show where this crowd is just at this point, I don't know, like
4.5 hours deep.
ugh, four and a
Like,
half
duh.
hours since doors opened for the arena, and now you try, like, why the fuck didn't you bring these guys back on a live Raw?
Like, why not? They were there for the first live Raw that you went live for before the taping. Just do it then. And then have all the other shit that you put on that show. Just swap the times out for the taped one. What?
They
Why would you
could
not have them debut live?
They could have absolutely did it last week when the show was live in St. Louis, or they could have did it next week, being that we are getting tournament matches next week.
Exactly. Exactly. Have them debut next week and be mad that they're not in the tournament. If they're not in the tournament, let them be mad that they're not and let them, do what they gotta do accordingly. Like, you have things you can do. Do it. Why would you do it on a tape show that no one cares about?
100%. 100%. So, why they couldn't have put American Made versus Ray and Dragon Lee on this show, or New Day versus AOP on this show, I have no idea. I don't know why this debut match, re-debut match, was the match from the tournament you decided to put on the one match from the tournament you decided to put on the tape show. Bad move, bro. The other thing, they get in the ring and they're sort of just like rocking around. They're kind of just like, throwing their fists around. Where the fuck was the war chant?
Like, dude, send it off. Do the war chant. People will catch on pretty fast.
You're already calling them the War Raiders. You might as well just have them do this and fucking start saying war when they get in the ring. Because when they're just kind of like throwing their fists around, all pumped up, it just looks like they're trying to make time pass in their entrance. Like, bro, do the war chant. What the fuck?
I was gonna say, yeah, my one thing was their entrance and like their presentation was like like an idle animation for a fighting game. They were just sitting there, heavy breathing, looking around, throwing their fist up. It's like, just let them do the war chant. That'll make everything go so much smoother.
So yeah, man. I don't know. This was the entrance production of it all, especially being Triple H, was very underwhelming because Triple H is an entrance guy. He loves a just production's wet dream of an entrance, right? Triple H
Hmm.
loves that. He does. And to see this, to see the production behind that, I was honestly a little, I was a little underwhelmed by it. I thought it was going to be more of, I thought it was going to be more of just lights go out, and then when they come
Hmm.
back on, they're standing there, and they're standing there in like some fucking badass like orange fucking Viking, or not orange, like just some regular orange lighting, just standing there doing their pose, looking menacing. And the war chant, I was very shocked by that. I was
Yeah,
very
I
shocked by
really
that.
am. I hopefully at least they do it soon and do like a. I feel like if they are gonna do the war chant, they're gonna have to. I don't know how this sounds, but like earn it first. They'll do something in a promo that's gonna say something about war, and then they're gonna start doing the war chant. That's just the way I could see Triple H going about things with it, if that
Yes,
makes sense.
yes. However, now that we're past the entrance, the match, man,
Man, I missed them.
was
It's
this
so
awesome to
good.
see.
They were going crazy.
This man, Roe, has been out since September of last year. 13
Damn.
months. This man got hurt when Adam Cole got hurt. And, dude, it was so awesome to see him in there, just busting people's chops, bro. Obviously his strikes are just insanely, they look insanely rugged. And they just, his strikes have just, they've always looked great. And yes, thank you naysayers, bro. Thank you naysayers,
Thank you,
dude. It
bro.
was it was this was pretty sick to see, bro. This was pretty sick to see. I also wish commentary would have, I also wish commentary would have called their moves a little better. So we'll get to that in just a second, but dude, when Otis was doing the worm and he stood up to do the elbow, and Hanson or Ivar came out of the corner with his spinning kick, and also obviously like just his offense in general with Otis trying to hit him, and he's cartwheeling out of the way and doing all this stuff. This is so fucking awesome. And they don't have that, that fucking mammoth fur. Oh God, I just bit everywhere. They don't have that mammoth fur that they were wearing as gear before. It was
Mhm.
it was their traditional leather gear, and I love
Yep.
that too. Um
Hell yeah, dude.
um so this match ended with, well, they did do the Thor's hammer. We'll get to that in a second, and they called it a pop-up power slam. So I would like to see that, be called correctly if they can use Thor's hammer. Um, I don't know if they can. Just please do not go back to calling that move the Viking experience. Um,
They should definitely be able to fucking call it the Thor's hammer because, Marvel doesn't own Thor. Thor's technically a religious figure in Norse mythology, so you can't really own that. So I
oh
don't think they would have a problem with that.
yeah. So then why aren't we using it? That kind of stuff is a little irritating to me.
Annoying. Yeah.
Um, and they did a move where um Eric hoists Tozawa up and Hansen is on the top rope, but instead of doing a leg drop, he does a splash. And the commentators called this like splash or something. They called it something, that wasn't the name of the move. And then after the match, Wade Barrett says that is their new move. They call that the Fallout.
Mm.
So it looks like Fallout is not a hoisted leg drop, as to where now it's a hoisted splash, which I guess is probably, you know what though? I believe Hansen did have problems with his neck, so doing a leg drop probably isn't the best idea.
Yeah, that would just go straight through your spine and up your neck.
Because I
So
know that fucked
that
up Matt Hardy's back.
is always, yeah. So that makes sense. That's a reason. At least they're calling it the Fallout, dude. That's good. That's
Yes,
a W in my book.
yes, and it is a hoisted splash instead of a hoisted leg drop. And again, while I was watching it, I was like, I kind of I kind of like the leg drop, but then I remembered, Ivar back in, I think 2021 had to have some sort of neck surgery. So I can imagine doing a leg drop at his size off of the top rope is probably not the best idea back and neck wise. So I understand.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a very reasonable change.
But it is called the Fallout. But again, I'm gonna need the pop-up power slam to be called Thor's hammer. I don't want that to be called pop-up power slam. It's Thor's hammer. That's the only name it's ever had. It's the only name it's ever had. There's no such thing as the Viking experience or any of the other stupid fucking names Vince tried to name their moves. It, to me, has always been Thor's hammer, and it always will be Thor's hammer. So we might as well just start calling it Thor's hammer.
You might as well.
So yeah, man. But that was that match, and like I said, in ring, everything I expected. This was basically, a squash. This wasn't really any true competition for them. But I'm fully, just so you know, WWE, I'm fully expecting them to run this tournament, 100%.
Oh yeah. They gotta run it. They gotta run it through. You can't fucking hype them up, re-debut them, and lose the tournament. They gotta run through the fucking tournament. And if I anything, I'd say they run through the Judgment Day too. But
I would say, I think they would have great fucking chemistry with those two, as a matter of fact. But for a tournament, final, I would not be upset if you went the route of the War Raiders versus the Authors of Pain, because we were supposed to get that match at the Dusty Cup final at TakeOver New Orleans, and we never got it. And that was
I forget.
I think it was because Fish got hurt, and then the Undisputed ended up having to do the tournament instead. Or something along those lines. I know the Undisputed, because TakeOver New Orleans. So I know Fish got hurt, and it was supposed to be them going up against a different team, but then they ended up having, it was supposed to be I can't remember. I think it was supposed to be Fish and O'Reilly versus Roddy and Pete Dunne, I think. But then Fish got hurt, and they ended up putting the Undisputed in the tournament or something like that. It was something real weird had happened. But I remember that was that was supposed to be the final to the Dusty Cup. But then Fish got hurt, and the finals didn't end up taking place on the show. They won the tournament, but then they faced the Undisputed for the Undisputed was technically the final for the championship. It turned into
that's where the Roddy turn happened. It was O'Reilly and Adam Cole. Because Adam Cole had to do double duty. Yep.
And then they all posed in front of the trophy, but that originally was not supposed to be for the tag titles and the trophy. It was supposed to just be for the trophy, and it was going to be AOP versus War Raiders, and we never got it. We never got it because they ended up because Fish ended up getting hurt and it altered their plans. But I would be fine with getting that, and that would actually probably be the first thing AOP's done since they've been back that I would actually be somewhat excited for.
No, exactly. That sounds like a really fire ending to this tournament that they got going on. But they got to run the tournament. They got to win, and they should win the World Tag Team titles or the Raw Tag, whichever one it is.
Yeah, for sure. But I love to see them back. They look great. Again, I'm gonna need them to work on the entrance, but other than that, they look fantastic, and I'm happy to see them back. And I'm also happy they dropped Valhalla because that
Thankfully.
just I hated those emo raiders, bro. I hated those.
They were so lame. Not a fan of the emo raiders.
Me neither. I was always a fan of just the modern day Vikings, and not the Vikings that, you know, eat turkey legs and fucking make fools out of themselves. I'm talking about the Vikings that just are basically like bikers.
Exactly. Fucking badass. That's what they are, and that's what they need to be.
Mm-hmm. Adam Pearce. He's in the back. He goes up to Seth Rollins, and Seth tells him to make the match. Adam Pearce tells Seth he is concerned about his injury history, being that this year does not have the cleanest track record for him. Seth tells him to do it. He reminds Adam Pearce who he is. He starts listing his resume, and he starts, just listing everything he's done. He's slayed beasts. He's, which, you know, that's a little mention towards Brock, which is interesting. He just, you know, alludes to things that he's done in the past. Seth, he reminds Adam Pearce who he is, and he tells him he needs this match to bring out the best in him. He says to Adam Pearce, "Do you want the best version of Seth Rollins on your show?" And Adam Pearce just looks at him, and he kind of just has this look of you got me there. And then he walked away. So that was that, and it looks like we're going to be getting this. And being that Seth's injury history is a part of the story here, there's no way he needs to beat Bronson Reed here. Being that this is now a factor being brought up, you mean to tell me Bronson Reed is going to lose to somebody who they're touting injuries about?
Yeah, you literally can't have Bronson Reed lose this. He has to win this for it to be successful.
Yep, 100%. 100%. Cody Rhodes is out here for a promo. Cody says he's proud to be in this city. It has rich roots for professional wrestling. He says, "I was right here in St. Louis for the first time we heard We Want Cody." He says, "Many may call me a politician, but I thank you." Gunther comes out. He says, "Normally, I would come out here and I would speak about your uncomfortable truths. But I've got to be honest. There's not much negative to say about you because this company is in a boom period and it's built all off your back. You make every town, you make every country, you make every continent, and you are truly the quarterback of this operation. And there's not a lot of people in this company I respect, but I have a lot of respect. I have a lot of respect for you. But if there's one thing you love to do is be everyone's darling, which is why your old friend Kevin turned his back on you. Because he realized everyone's friend is no one's real friend. So I expect you to sort out all your emotional mess with him before Saudi Arabia because I expect the best. Cody Rhodes." Cody says, "What you think is my greatest weakness, I think is my greatest strength. I'm sure," he says, "I'm sure you've seen what's been happening on the show, but if I can make an observation, I've seen what happens when the ring general throws everything in his arsenal at his opponents and they keep coming back. What happens is you get uncomfortable. I seen it firsthand at WrestleMania. You break. I can return what you said about being a great champion, a workhorse, and all the immense respect I have for you. But what you need to know is you think you are swimming in the deep water, but your feet are on the bottom of the pool. Because you have never been one-on-one in the ring with me. Gunther says, that is a very true assessment, Cody. That is a very true assessment, Cody. Spoken like a true secondary champion. Cody says, there's the dig I was expecting. He says, you really have become frightening. You've become a frightening beast. And yes, this is your house now. And what did you call me? A secondary champion? Well, let's not forget, I defeated the most dominant champion in company history. And Gunther, I have already slayed a frightening beast. That's twice.
It's weird.
That's twice now we've alluded to Brock Lesnar on the show. Obviously, Seth Rollins talking about slaying beasts. And Cody Rhodes now here talking about slaying the frightening beast. Gunther laughed. And walked away. And that was that segment. This is a very, very, very good promo segment. And fuck, I wish this was not for a Crown Jewel Championship. Because this is good shit. And you can already tell why this couldn't have waited a couple years or however long before they put these two across the ring from each other. Similar to what Triple H is doing with like Bianca and Rhea Ripley. I don't know.
I understand. Yeah, it's such a waste of such a great fucking feud and great dynamic. They have great chemistry already on the mic, and you're wasting it for literally nothing.
Yeah, for the Crown Jewel title.
Like dog.
Dragon Lee gets a little hype video talking about how this has been an exciting career and an exciting year in his career, from becoming the North American champion to whatever.
A guy on Raw that's barely used.
Has been an exciting year for him, I guess. Being in the historic LWO, he says. So
okay.
yeah, it was basically just a hype package for Dragon Lee, which hopefully we could start seeing this guy as a part of a legitimate, just a legitimate singles guy, as opposed to just Rey Mysterio's buddy in the LWO. So yeah, that group needs to end. Why that group is still a fucking thing, I have no idea.
No, that group needs to disband, dude. It's so fucking pointless, and it's just holding every member of it back.
It is. Xavier Woods is in the back, and they're showing a clip from last week's Raw. Last week's Raw after the show, this clip is from. Kofi and Woods are in the locker room and they're arguing, and Xavier Woods is telling Kofi Kingston that I have not been playing quarterback at all. Which is interesting because Kofi has been letting him play quarterback and call the shots, but it's just not good enough for Xavier. So we then go into this match with Kofi Kingston versus Braun Breaker. Braun ends up beating Kofi with a super spear. Xavier is checking on Kofi afterwards, and he gets attacked too by Braun as Jey Uso comes out for the save. This was okay. This was basically obviously just kind of adding on to last week and everything we saw last week with the what is it called? The attack from on Jey Uso from Braun Breaker, and obviously attacking the New Day. They're obviously just expanding on that a little bit. So yeah, that was that. Nothing too much, and really, I guess just further building the story of Xavier Woods getting his ass whooped by Braun Breaker again for just being aligned with Kofi Kingston. So, but Jay did make the save, man. As yeah, that was that. It's a pretty good segment.
Definitely, man. Very interesting to see where they're going with Kofi and Xavier Woods and whatnot. Still very interested to see, the whole end game with.
For sure. Um, Jey Uso is walking in the back. He's walking to his locker room, and he opens the door, and there, sitting on his couch, is Jimmy Uso.
Man,
I sat up huge for this. I was like,
hell
whoa.
yeah.
I did not expect that at all.
Mm-mm.
So I hop up off my seat. Jimmy's sitting there, and he says, hey, you got a second? Jay kind of, you know, like, gets pissed and doesn't even enter his locker room. He just walks away. He walks away as this is the first time in a while we have seen these two on screen together, and this is the first time we've seen these two on screen together in the sense of Jimmy trying to get Jay back into the bloodline.
And I love it.
This obviously wasn't a lot. It was a little, but it was nice. Again, I'm glad they put this on the show, but during these backstage segments, you can hear the crowd. You can hear the crowd reaction, and obviously there was none because there was like the most piped in crowd noise ever. But there was like the most silent pop ever when this would have got a huge pop if this was in front of a live audience. And then obviously you can tell where Joe Tessitore comes and makes his little voiceovers, because obviously he's not commenting on this live because they clearly just had him go in after the show was edited and watch it and commentate over it. So that obviously always comes off bad, but that's just the nature of a tape show. But this was huge, man, and obviously there's another segment with these two that we'll get to in here in just a second. But this was shocking, and I did not expect this, and I liked it a lot, man. I liked it a lot. Like I said, it was little, but it was something nice for them to do here.
Exactly. It's very little, but it's very surprising that they were moving along like this, and I didn't expect it. And I really like where it's going, man.
Definitely. R-Truth defeated The Miz. Well, as soon as the match starts, we get Wyatt 6 flashes on the screen. So it looks like their next feud is going to be against The Miz.
Dog. You're gonna waste the Wyatt 6 on the fucking Miz. You're wasting them in general, let alone with the Miz.
Are you serious? What the fuck are we doing with the Wyatt 6, bro? Honestly. What are we doing here? I mean, do you not see how this is a creative fuck up here? I mean, it's been, dude, I can't even tell you the last time these guys were on television. I can't even tell you. What was it? The Monday after Bash in Berlin, maybe?
I think that was, yeah, when that match happened that they, like,
Bro.
dog.
I mean, if they were going to be mishandled, I totally expected I totally expected something of just overdoing the theatrics and the cinematics of it, making it super hokey and super corny. I didn't expect them to just be plain out off television.
Yeah, they're just not used at all. And like, dog, what are you doing here?
It's incredibly frustrating, and I'm genuinely at a loss for words, bro. You have them feud with American Made, and you move them on to The Miz?
Like, for what? It's a group versus one dude. What the fuck is the Miz gonna do besides get his ass whooped? What's the point of this?
I don't know. It's going to be an easy way to just delegitimize anything he had going for him. I mean, he didn't really have much going for him in a new heel run anyway, but even further delegitimizes that. So that's just that's immediately right there. That's already going to be non-existent. So you have that, and now the Wyatt Six. What do we need to see? What do we need to see Uncle Howdy versus the Miz for? What is that going to do for anybody?
Literally, like, what's the end game in that? What does it do for anybody? It doesn't do nothing for the audience. It doesn't do nothing for the Miz. It doesn't six. It's completely pointless.
You didn't want to put Rowan and Gacy, Rowan and Dexter in the tag title tournament. So now they're just there for what? What are they there for?
Like, for nothing. They're just there, I guess, for no reason. Like, dude, they're phenomenal. They're all phenomenal talent.
Mm-hmm.
Use them.
I don't know, man. I don't know. This is exactly what I was. Honestly, this is what I was scared of, but I didn't expect it to be like this. I did not expect
No,
these guys to just be flat out off television at
I
all.
thought, like you said, they were gonna make them hokey and too theatrical and do this and that. They just don't use them.
Not at all. Incredibly frustrating. And I'm going to need WWE to pick up the pace on the Wyatt Six and just legitimizing them and making them a captivating act on the show, because this is ridiculous at this point. The final testament come out there. The Miz gets distracted. Truth rolls up Miz. He wins. He starts hugging Miz. He goes to run away. AOP grabs him, throws him back in the ring. He gets a skull crushing finale. I guess the story here is R-Truth is so stupid he doesn't get that the Miz dumped him.
Who cares, dude? What is this for? Who is this for?
Uncle fucking Howdy, apparently.
God.
Um, Jimmy, Big Jim, is in the back, and he is looking for Jay. He's opening every door he walks past, and he opens about 4 doors or 3 doors, and on the fourth or fifth one, he opens a door and he immediately is confronted with Jay leaving the arena. He's got his belt with him, and he just stares. He just stares at Jimmy. Jimmy says, "Look, if you have a second, just please listen to me." Jay immediately cuts him off and said, "I said no, man. Get out of my face." You know what it's going to
Alright.
take? I think it's going to take Roman Reigns making the trip to Monday Night Raw so they can actually all hash this out. Either that or
Sammy.
Roman Reigns said it on Friday, but he is no wise man. Is it going to take a wise man to get them back together? Is it going to take the OTC? Is it going to take the honorary Oos? Who's it going to
I
take?
don't know.
Who's it going to take? Or maybe it might take all of them to get
It
Jay
might.
back on board with this.
It might really take all of them. I could see it go in that direction where Jimmy tries it, Roman tries it, and then finally Sammy tries it. And, maybe that works. I don't know. But I'm excited. I love the direction this is going, man. And this is real intriguing, man. I like this dynamic they got going on, and I hope to see more of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is great television, and if this is what we're going to be subjected to for the next month and a half, I'm on board. Um, which things get a whole lot interesting, a whole lot more interesting. Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker is announced for next week's Monday Night Raw for the IC title. Does Jay
See what
drop it there?
happens.
Does something does something happen? Does does Braun Breaker almost beat this guy to a pulp after the match to the point where Jimmy has to come save him?
I saw some people saying they think Jimmy might come out to try to like support or try to like talk to Jay, and then that's what cost Jay, like indirectly cost him. I could see that happening. But
I
how would
feel
you get
like
Jay?
I feel like that's a little counterproductive though.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't get why they did that, because
Yeah,
why would he would definitely not join the group at that point. So
for sure.
don't know what they're gonna do, but I feel like next week might be the week.
It could yeah yeah I definitely would not do that if I well you know how IWC is, but um I definitely wouldn't do that. I feel like if Jimmy were to cost Jay indirectly the IC title, even if it was indirectly, I feel like Jay would still be pretty pissed, and he would not want to team with these guys a month later, being that they cut
Hmm.
his IC title reign like 3 weeks short. Um, so I would probably have, if this is where you want to do the title change, and if this is where you want to fully commit Jay Uso to back to this bloodline teasing storyline. Um, if Braun loses here, he's not due for another rematch. And the only other guy that could possibly win this title is Bronson Reed, and he's tied up with Seth Rollins. So I honestly think Braun Breaker probably wins the title back here. And
I think
I think what it's going to maybe take is Braun Breaker attacking Jey Uso, and Jimmy comes out to make the save. Not for Jay to be fully back on board, but maybe for Jay to just have a more open mind to the
mhm,
situation. You know, he could still be upset at first, and he could still be not wanting to do it, and he could still want to talk out all his differences and do what he's got to do with them, but I could see this being step 1 to Jimmy actually proving that he wants to mend the fences with Jay.
definitely, definitely. I hope so.
In the main event, Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton defeated Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez by DQ. Nia Jax attacks uh, Rhea Ripley in the aisleway. Ref calls for the bell. Nia attacks everybody, lays everybody out. She lays Liv Morgan out in the middle of the ring, and she tells Tiffany to cash in. Tiffany realizes the situation. She realizes the situation. She grabs the briefcase, runs in the ring, and Dominic make the save as he carries Liv away as Liv and Raquel and Dominic stand at the top of the ramp as Nia and Tiffany are in the middle of the ring. And yeah, man, that was Monday Night Raw, bro. That was Monday Night Raw. So literally, dude, minus the War Raiders, minus minus the War Raiders and minus Jimmy and Jay, this was pretty it was a tape show, man. It was pretty dull.
It was definitely overall pretty dull. Well, WWE pretty dull episode of Raw. SmackDown had its moments. Dynamite was fucking a whole explosion in itself.
Yeah.
But very, very weird week.
Definitely. This is definitely like in terms of television one of the most unexciting weeks of wrestling there's been in a while.
Really.
Yeah, just filled with some of the worst dynamite ever. That and just a taped Monday Night Raw that was just basically just that, a taped Monday Night Raw. It was pretty eh. So so yeah, man, that is that. And yeah, that is everything here today we have for you guys on the week of wrestling, man. This has been episode 217 of Unscripted, and thank you guys so very much for joining us here today on today's episode of Unscripted. And with that, yeah, everybody who came out, man, naysayers, Logan, thank you guys so very much for joining us. And yeah, man, thank you guys, whether you guys were here now or part of the Replay Mafia. Thank you guys so very much for joining us. And with that, that is going to do it. And always, always, always a pleasure for my Johnny.
And Sir K.
And that is going to do it for this edition of Unscripted. This has been episode 217 of NHP's Unscripted. Thank you guys so very much for joining us. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you all on Friday with the news.
Peace.